And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Columbia Games is known for their block war games, of which this is one of them, Julius Caesar. Now, if you come here expecting an in-depth war game review of this, you may be disappointed. This is going to be from our viewpoint. Neither one of us had ever played a block war game until we played this one. I know that there's many out there, the most famous probably being Hammer of the Scots. It's gotten a lot of buzz, but I do know about Julius Caesar, and I was told that this would be a good entry into the series. Did we make it through a game? We did. Let's tell you what it was like. Julius Caesar takes place here on this map, and this map is made up of many different cities. Some of the cities are worth victory points. As you can see, Syracuse there is worth 1, Rome is worth 2, and there are different cities connected by roads on the board. The game is going to take place over 5 turns. At the end of 5 turns, whoever has the most victory points is the winner, or if any player manages to control 10 victory points during winter, the game will end. Now you can see that there is a Cleopatra piece here. She'll switch sides from battle to battle, depending, I guess, basically on whichever side is stronger at that point in time. The game is made up of quite a few blocks from each of the players' sides. Now, during the game itself, these blocks are stood up so that they are facing the player who is playing them, so the other player can't see them. The blocks also show basically hit points. For example, here, Pompey, you can see if he was standing up here, he'd be a 3 strength, but if he gets hit, he would turn to be only 2 strength, and then turn to be only 1 strength, and then if he gets hit again, he is off the board. So players are going to start with several of these pieces in historical places on the board. Each piece will be in different cities, and sometimes it's kind of hard to put them in cities, while navies will start in ports. And they can move from a port to a sea, and from sea to sea, and they'll be moving around. And when a navy is in the middle of a sea, troops will be able to move from one city, that's a port city, and you can see port cities because they have a boat on them, to another city. And so the way the game works is during each year, players are going to be given a handful of 6 cards. They are going to look at those cards, pick one of those cards, and discard it. That's a card they won't be using. So they'll have 5 cards left over, and each round is exactly 5 turns. The way each round goes is each player is going to play a card simultaneously. These cards will be revealed. The card that has the higher number here is the player 1. The other player will be player 2. If it's a tie, the player who is playing Caesar is going to go first. Now, when you play a card, you're going to be looking at these cards themselves are going to be, that's your movement number and that's your levy number. This means how many units you can move, and that's how many points you have for levying purposes. When you move units on the board, you can move a whole group of units up to 2 spots away using the roads. Although there is major and minor roads. Minor roads are the dotted ones. Only 2 troops can move along those, while the major roads, up to 4 troops, can move from city to city on them. Like I said, you can also do amphibious movement by crossing over ships to another port, but the port has to be friendly. You can move into a spot that has enemy troops. However, when you do that, you can only move 1 space. You can't move 2. So you can't move 2 to attack somebody else. So that's what players will be doing with their movement. With the levying, this one, you can take a unit that is at a lower level here, like 1, and I can increase it up to 2. If I have multiple levy points, I can increase it farther if it was possible. In this case, it's not. You can also bring new units onto the board. Many units have a very specific city that they can come out on. There are some units that, like the auxiliary units here, these units can come out anywhere where you have a friendly city, a city with your units in it, although they're much weaker. So you'll have to determine when you're levying units, which units you're going to bring out. You'll be looking at the different units and seeing how strong the units are, but at the same time, where they go on the board. When there's a battle, all the units are revealed and combat will occur. Combat takes at most 4 rounds. If after 4 rounds are over, no side has won, then the attacker must retreat, although both players must fight in the first round. After that, they can retreat if they so choose to. Players will be using dice for combat, and let's say, for example, here, Brutus is attacking with a ballista, an elephant, and a legion from Byzantium, and he's attacking a legion from Rome, some horses from Byzantium, and Antony. So if you notice, each of these units here has looks like battleship coordinates A2, B4, B3, C2, A2, B3, C2. Those are basically how you will attack. First, all the A's attack, then the B's, then the C's. The number there is a number that you're trying to roll less than. The number of dice that you get to roll is the number shown here. So as units get weakened, they will roll fewer dice. So Brutus is attacking here, and he has A2, and Antony also has A2. So when they both have A's, then the defender goes first. So Antony is going to roll 2 dice here. He rolls and gets 1 hit. Now, when he hits, the opponent must take the hit on the strongest unit, which in this case is the elephant. Unfortunately, that will knock an elephant from rolling 4 dice down to only rolling 2 dice on their turn. Brutus then will respond. He'll roll 2 dice and misses because he needed to get 2s or less. Now it's time for the B's. Now, even though the ballista says B4, the ballista has a special thing where when they attack, they're actually a D4, so they'll go last. So only the horses go here. He gets to roll 2 dice, and they need to be 3s or less. And he gets 1 more hit on the biggest thing, which happens to be the legion here from Byzantium. So that is now down to a strength of 2. Then the C's go. The B's from the good guys go. The elephant here is going to attack back, and he rolls and gets 2 hits, which really hits this legion here, dropping down to 2. Now, if multiple things have the highest strength when you get hit, you can choose which one of those takes the hit. So the B's have gone. Now it's time for the C's. Both legions have a C. So again, the defender, the Roman legion rolls. They need 2s or less. They miss. The attacking legion rolls, and they also missed because they needed 2s or less on a C. Then the ballista gets to roll 2s, and they need 4 or less. Remember, they're a D, and so they get 1 hit. I can choose who to take it on, so I take it on the legion. And that was 1 round of combat. Nobody has been eliminated, but you can see there's been a lot of wounding, and there's a possibility for elimination. Either side can retreat along a road to a friendly or vacant city, or they can continue the combat. When you kill someone, they go back to your pile, and on a future year, you can re-summon them re-levy them back into play, except for leaders. When you kill an opponent's leader, you will take it and put it in front of yourself. It's worth a victory point. Not only are there command cards in the game, but there are also event cards that a player can play. These cards have the different Roman gods. You can see there's Mars and Vulcan, and when these cards are played, if both players play an event card, they're both canceled. But if only one of them plays it, that event happens before your opponent plays their move card. For example, here, Vulcan, you pick one group of blocks and they all go down 1 level. Jupiter lets you steal a person who's next to one of your cities. Pluto lets you move more people along the roads than you normally can. Neptune lets you attack navies, and you get to go first before your opponent does. Apollo is the same card as your opponent played on the last turn. Now, at the end of all 5 cards being played, winter happens, and all ships that are out to sea will have to go back to their ports. You can't have more than 4 blocks per city unless the city has victory points, and it goes up to 5 or 6. And then you check victory points to see if anybody has won. If they haven't, you go to the next round. After the 5th year, whoever has the most victory points is the winner. All right, lots to talk about here. We'll start with the components. What did you think of the components of the game?
I thought the components were nice, but I didn't like how the cities were so small and crowded together, because it was kind of hard to figure out which blocks were in which city.
Yeah, a couple things. The board itself was a lightweight board, not your heavy, typical mounted board. I didn't care about that so much. The board looks nice. The blocks, I had to put stickers on them, but not a big deal to put the stickers on the blocks and move them around. But I agree with her. Sometimes you had a lot of blocks in a place and you couldn't see the cities, and sometimes the cities were close to each other. More importantly, they covered the names of cities. And at the beginning of your turn, when you're trying to levy units around the board and they have to go to a specific city, and then you're moving blocks to see what all the cities are. I mean, I'm sure many of you are experts at Roman geography, but I knew where Rome and Antioch and Jerusalem and Byzantium were, and then I didn't know anything else. I had to keep looking around the board to see where the different cities were, and that's even doubly so when you're looking at the board upside down, because you have to sit across from each other because of the way having the blocks hidden being. So that was problematic. I'm sure that would go away as time goes by. If you play often, you would know where all the different blocks all the different cities would be. Okay, now, what did you think about the game itself? First of all, there's what we call fog of war, where you don't know where the other pieces are. What did you think about that?
I thought that was nice to, like, all of a sudden you attack something and all of a sudden they come out stronger or weaker than you expected.
You can watch what your opponent's doing, changing the blocks, but you never really know what they're doing, and they can kind of move their blocks around, so you're never sure which is the leader, etc.
Yeah. I didn't like the thing where when you put out a certain type of unit, they had to go to a certain city.
Oh, you really? I thought that was a pretty neat idea, because it makes you think both the strength of the unit and where they're going to start. Maybe they're going to start way off in the corner of Europe, and you have to move them into battle. But let's talk about battles themselves. What did you think about battles?
I liked how each thing had like a certain okay thing, like one unit maybe like a C3, and it may have been less dice but easier to roll because it was all 3, 2, 1.
Right.
And
we're not used to rolling low for hits for a game, that's for sure. Usually low numbers mean a miss. In this game, they were hits. Combat I thought was good, but you have to realize playing this game going in, combat's very lucky. I mean, some people, and I'm not going to mention names, get extremely lucky in these style games, while other people can't roll 1s or 2s to save their lives. It can be annoying. There's also luck even with the cards that are dealt out, because one person can honestly get a better hand of cards than the other person. The card that lets you basically steal a unit from your opponents, I think, is an idiotic card, especially when the other person gets it 3 times in one game. Not trying to make any accusations. It is a little odd that they have cards that have the gods in them, because it kind of gives this mythological flavor to the game that really is not historical. It just seems interesting in that regard. But I did like how the cards had movement and units, and you couldn't move everything, and you had to decide which units to add and levy up. So what did you like best about the game?
The cards, how some of them had like special abilities that you could use. Okay.
I actually thought the combat system, even though I said it was lucky, I thought the combat system worked pretty well. It was a pretty simple combat. The rules say that combat never will go past 4 rounds, but I don't know that many battles we ever had went that far either. Someone retreated or someone was blown to smithereens by the enemy forces. So let me ask you this, though. Now that you've played this game, what's your final opinion on it?
It's an okay game because my first time actually playing like a war type game, moving pieces around, trying to attack others. So I was a little confused, but after a while I got used to it and it was a lot easier. So I give it like a good medium.
All right. Well, and for me, I thought it was good. I was able to teach Melody a little bit about history because I know a little bit about the Julius Caesar versus Pompey and what happened after that. Antony and Cleopatra. Cleopatra's in this game. Alexandria is a big city, but she's kind of a minor player. Isn't that huge of a force in this game, but still, she's there, historical flavor and such. Let me ask this then: would you want to play more of these types of games with blocks and war games?
Yes, I would.
What? See, I was going to go on the other one. I'm saying I played this. It's enjoyable. I actually, for me, it wasn't that heady and hard. I'm sure someone who's really well versed at this game, I can tell the strategies and stuff, would probably whoop me all over the place. But I don't know how many more of these I'd like to play. I think it would actually depend on the battles and theming for me.
Yeah, just maybe a little less luck and...
A little less luck. Well, we'll see. I hope I'm not fathering a war gamer. I would have. All right. Well, anyway, it's hopefully from this review you can see if this game is for you or not. It's a lighter war game, but not super light. I mean, there's still a lot of thought that has gone into it. but at least hopefully we've given you an idea of what a block war game is like. Julius Caesar.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!